Hello and welcome to another episode of intelliTALKS. And today I have a special guest. We have Debi here, and she is representing SPCTEK. Debi, welcome.
Well, thank you, Marcel. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. We will be having a very nice conversation today, and the subject for today is about defect rate and order defect rate, actually, and how is that affecting Amazon sellers out there. But before we dive into it, Debi, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your background, so yeah, we get to know you.
All right, thank you. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for SPCTEK, as you mentioned. SPCTEK is actually a partner with Amazon. We're also a Walmart partner, and we're certified with TikTok shops. So we're a full management agency. We kind of specialize in account health. We try to build a very strong foundation in your account through your account health. And that's why I'm very excited about the ODR, or order defect rate, that we're going to talk about today.
Well, the account health is a subject matter that we don't want to neglect because that's keeping us alive. So
Yeah.
we got to be careful about it. And yeah, thank you, Debi, for bringing this to our attention. But yeah, let's go slowly into this for everyone out there that, let's say, are not so familiar with the order defect rate. How would you talk about it? What would you make of it? And yeah, where can you find it actually in the seller center?
So, okay. Amazon has, some crucial performance metrics, and these metrics help you on the site itself. One of the things that they measure is what they call an order defect rate. The order defect rate is actually the percent of your orders that gets a negative customer experience. Because Amazon is so customer service focused, if you're a seller and you're not meeting their standards, they're going to let you know. So there are actually 3 different places that you could see it affect your order defect rate. Negative feedback. I'm not talking about product review. I'm talking about negative feedback of the seller. So if you get a 1 or 2 star feedback left by a customer, Amazon is going to consider that as an order defect rate. A to Z claims. And this is a claim when a buyer files against a seller for an order issue. Okay. Maybe you weren't able to resolve it. Maybe you were on vacation and forgot to tell people you were on vacation, but all of a sudden the buyer is filing a claim against you because they haven't been able to get it worked out with you. And then chargebacks. When a customer disputes a charge that's on their credit card, that can affect your ODR. Now, to find your ODR, what you do is go to your Seller Central. You're going to log in, and then you're going to navigate to the Performance tab. On the Performance tab, you're looking for the Account Health section, and your ODR is going to be displayed there along with your other performance metrics. I think what's really important to understand is that Amazon has a very strict ODR target of below 1%. So if you fail to maintain this, there can actually be serious consequences leading all the way up to account suspension. And it really hits you hard if you are a low quantity seller. If you don't have the volume and you're not turning it over, that 1% can come pretty quickly.
That's definitely something to bear in mind. Now that you mention it, maybe I'm going the wrong direction here, but in that case, how can you mitigate it in terms of if, let's say, Amazon suspends your account for ODR, let's say a huge number there. So if you're exceeding the 1%, what do you do then? You go to attorney, or does SPCTEK can help with that one? Or
so because we focus on account health, we get a lot of people who have account suspensions or even ASIN suspensions.
Yeah.
Sorry, ASIN suspensions. And so we definitely can help you and assist with this. If you're on our account management, this is part of our account health management that we just automatically do for you. You really need to watch your ODR closely. You should be looking at it at least every day, just checking on it. Amazon uses a rolling 60 days, but it excludes the current 14 days. Okay. So there's a delay of 14 days, and then the 60 days following that is what is reflected in your ODR rate. Now, the reason they do that is because they want you to be able to respond really quickly during those 14 days and take care of it yourself. So you can get some of those ODRs off if you're paying attention and you see that there's something on there that has been filed, negative feedback or an A to Z claim or something like that. So as long as you're watching, and you take care of it right away, it will never show up on your ODR.
So, how can Amazon sellers out there, how can they actually, let's say, monitor it? But in terms of monitoring, if it goes up to a specific threshold, what steps should they take in order to keep it below? Since you mentioned that, if you monitor it, that's the first step. But if you see there that you get a couple of problems and you want to keep it under control, how should we look at it? I'm also an Amazon seller and I'm curious myself.
Yeah, so it depends on what your order defect rate is about. Is the product really kind of a faulty or low quality product? Is it something that you should think about? Maybe we want to remove the rest of this inventory because it's dragging the rest of the account down. So if it's an actual product, that's pretty easy. You can just say, we're going to take this, deactivate this listing for a little while. We'll pull all of that out of Amazon. If you're using FBA, if you're not, and you already have your product, right? So that's one of the reasons, the order defect rate. And that's probably the one most people think about. Most people think about order defect rate of actually being about the product, but it's really about customer satisfaction. I mean, all three of those metrics that we discussed has to do with the customer and the customer's reaction to what they received from you. Okay. So either the product wasn't up to where it was, maybe it was damaged in shipping, no fault of your own, but you have to address that quickly, particularly if you are fulfillment by merchant. You know, if you're FBA, some of that stuff will be taken care of by Amazon's customer service if it's a shipping related injury, I call it, for the product. But you just have to make sure that you're paying attention to your account. I think that's the biggest mistake I see from Amazon sellers who come to us with problems. They weren't watching. They just weren't paying attention to their account. Most people think you just put things up on Amazon and it just works itself.
Yeah.
And you know, there's so much more than that.
Definitely. Yeah.
You can file appeals on any of those things that you get. So if you get a negative feedback, you can file an appeal. If you get an A to Z claim, you can file an appeal. If you get a chargeback, you can file against the chargeback. All of those will mean that you need to really figure out what the root, what's the real problem. On your chargeback, if they dispute it, then you have to get all of your documentation together to submit it to challenge that charge. So, but it affects your account. It also affects buy box eligibility. If you have a high ODR rate, then you're going to probably not have the buy box. Okay. So if you want to maximize the amount of sales you can get, you want to make sure that you keep that lower ADR consistently low. Okay.
All right. And what would be some strategies, since you mentioned the chargebacks? What would be some strategies to prevent the chargeback claims? Is there any, let's say?
So, if you're monitoring daily, and we know they're using the 60-day rolling thing, so something that didn't show up today could be on the 60-day tomorrow as it's rolling. So that's the reason why we say look at it. Identify what the issue is early. Okay, you've got that 14-day period before anything will actually show up on your ODR. So if you see a sudden spike in either negative feedback or A to Z claims, you need to investigate and address that problem really quickly, and then take some kind of preventative measures. If it's the same mail carrier that is always causing the package problems. Maybe you need to diversify. Maybe you need to have, a different carrier, but you need to look at identifying the potential problem area and just excuse me, I knew I was going to do that. I was trying so
Bless
hard
you.
not to. Um,
No worries, no worries.
but you need to implement some preventative measures, like just looking at and identifying the potential problem area, taking any steps that you can to prevent it in the future. And again, if you're reacting within that first 14 days and you get it taken care of, it's not going to show up on your ODR. So your quick reaction time is really pretty essential. If you think about e-com, the landscape is really very dynamic. So you need to be reactive to what's going on in your account and stuff like that.
Definitely. Keeping an eye on the ball is always the objective of any Amazon seller, and we try to do it, but sometimes this catches us by surprise, so to speak. But yeah.
Yeah.
You've mentioned A to Z guarantee claims. How can Amazon sellers respond to potential claims that might arise from that area and to avoid the order defect rate?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, you can actually file an A to Z appeal. And you just need to ensure that you have any required evidence that demonstrates that you complied with Amazon policies. So depending upon what their complaint is about, it may be about the product, but it may be about something that was in the listing or something like that. And when they got it, it isn't what they thought it was going to be, or maybe they made the order in error. You need to have a good return policy, and you need to make sure that you are contacting them right away, taking care of all of that. You know, Providing excellent customer service. And sorry about that. I don't even know where that's ringing from.
We cannot hear it here in the
Oh,
so
okay,
it's
good.
only you can hear that. Yeah.
Okay, good, because I'm like, the phone's ringing and I'm like, I have everything on do not disturb. I don't know what it is. So, but be very transparent in your return and refund policies. Clearly make sure that you communicate what those policies are to your customers. That means that if you have something that deviates from the regular return policy, let's say, it's a evening wear, and you don't allow it to be returned without original tags and stuff like that. You need to make sure that that's in your listing. It's very clear and stuff like that, because we know that if you're in evening wear, that occurs all the time, that people buy it, they want to wear it once, and then they want to return it. So it becomes necessary for you to say, you can't do that, right? And so if you have all of that information, the customer comes back and says, oh, they won't let me return it. And they're trying to make up some reason why they need to return it. And you can go back to your listing and say, it clearly states here, we will only take returns if it's in unused condition with the tags. And, then Amazon's going to take that down because it was very clearly written. You've adhered to the policies and stuff like that. So, sometimes an A to Z claim is just they got the wrong product. Okay. So no. So for instance, they might have, if you've got several things, somebody accidentally pulled the wrong thing, shipped the wrong item to you. So for that reason, it becomes then very important that you either tell them how to get the one back to you with a return label, or let them keep it and then get them the item that they ordered. But, making sure that you are keeping the customer happy. Won't get A to Z claims if the customer has no reason to file against you.
Right. So the only thing that I see here, the most important thing that I see here is the actual customer communication. So in terms of improving that, and what would be, let's say, some advanced techniques to prevent the dissatisfaction, and that might lead to one defect.
When you correspond with a customer, you should always offer some type of a resolution. Okay. It's not enough just to say, gee, I'm really sorry that happened to you. and then that's the end of the email. Demonstrate that you have a willingness to resolve the issue, okay? Maybe you offer a refund, maybe you offer a replacement, and only if you think that that's the right course of action. Amazon isn't asking you to just, you know, uh, take care of people who might be trying to defraud you, but they are saying that, outline some steps that you have taken to address the customer's concern. If the customer still says, no, that's not enough, at least you have documentation now that you made every attempt to try to alleviate this from the customer, but that the customer was being unreasonable. Okay.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So always try to stay in close contact with the customers, and yeah, I'm always looking at the unhappy customers, like not trying to make them happy, because if they choose to be unhappy, you'll not be able to make them happy overnight. And whenever that happens, I'm always happy to refund them, or just give them a replacement, and that's it. I'm not even interested in other, let's say, workarounds. But yeah, usually
Yeah.
people are like that, so we cannot change them.
And probably the higher volume you are, you learn that lesson, right? When you're a lower volume, you kind of sweat every one of those things, a chargeback and all of that type of stuff. You do just have to breathe and
Yeah,
let go of it, because we know in our society today, there are just some people that you cannot make happy, that you cannot please. As long as you are making every possible effort to correct it, then it's very easy for you to show the documentation to Amazon. Amazon is fair about it, and they'll take care of it for you.
yeah, yeah. No, so the devil is in the writings, in the paper trail always. So it's good to have everything documented, to have procedures. This is what has come to us, let's say, over the last 7 years of experience with Amazon, having clear procedures. What happens when this happens? What happens when that happens? When you have a dissatisfied customer, what you do for that customer, so you do not get stressed. But I do resonate with what you just said, Debbie, because when I started like 7 years ago, when you had only one product out there on the Amazon displayed, you live and die by how the product is performing. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
happy when it sells, and when something goes wrong, you're like, what happened? Yeah,
Exactly right. You're playing the long game, though. I mean,
yeah,
you're in it for the long game. And so that's the reason why sometimes you just have to breathe and just go, so be it, right?
yeah.
I'm going to let go of that. It's just not worth hanging on to. For some people and their personality, that's much easier than for others that are a little bit more controlling and want that control. But honestly, when it comes to customer service, sometimes you just bite your lower lip and go, okay.
Or yeah, that's now that you mention it, when you've mentioned it twice or 3 times already, letting go. It's also a method. It's called Sedona, just letting go. It's about identifying the emotions and the attachments that you have, and
Mm,
simply imagining like you're letting them go. Because it's always about the emotions
yes.
that are driving us. You get angry, and that customer, what they just let it go.
You know,
Yeah,
I think that's an exceptional point, and not just when you're dealing with the customer, but if you're filing appeals with Amazon, take the emotion out of those appeals. Be very factual in just presenting them with what you really understand has happened. Present them with the emails between you and the customer, but take out the emotion, because it won't help you.
yeah,
Emotion will not help you in filing an appeal, because, like they say, we want just the facts, ma'am.
yeah,
Just the
absolutely.
facts. So,
Yeah, brilliant. So how can Amazon sellers stay up to date with what's happening in the, let's say, the policies and the guidelines of the order defect rate? Where can they find this? Or
yeah. So, obviously your seller forum is a really good way to do it. But, you also need to pay attention to Amazon emails when you get those. I'm really sometimes surprised when people get an A to Z claim and they don't even read the email. They don't pay any attention to it. They, you'll be talking to them and you're running through their account with them and stuff, and you'll say, well, you were notified on this date. What did you do regarding this notification? I didn't do anything, Well, you have to do something, because Amazon is sending you an email making a request that very definitely wants some kind of an answer or action to. And so ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just makes it worse. And I will tell you, 𝗪𝗁, there are a lot of ramifications if you don't. If you persistently have a high ODR rate, you can have some very severe consequences to your account. Amazon can impose restrictions on your selling privileges, like limiting how much of your inventory, or they could remove products, right? We already talked about the fact that you can lose the buy box, so that significantly decreases. And of course, that's an impact on your sales, right? We
Yeah.
talked about the fact that you can have account suspension, and account suspension is not fun. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's scary. You don't know whether you're going to get it back. You have to take some time to analyze. We actually offer an account audit when you're deactivated, so that we can go in and find what the root cause is for you. You can either use that yourself to create your own POA, or obviously we create POAs too, but account suspension is very, and now you've got a damaged reputation,
Yeah.
that a high ODR impacts your seller reputation. And so now there's a customer trust issue. And of course, that's impacting sales. And then just dealing with A to Z claims, chargebacks, or returns and stuff like that, there's an increased cost and an impact on your business there too. That's why take care of it, deal with it, be done with it, because there are consequences if you don't.
Yeah, always. Yeah. But what, as an Amazon seller, for example, what can we do in order to proactively approach and be, in a way to minimize at least the order defect rate risk? Is there to keep the seller positive, seller reputation positive, and to stay on the safe side, or at least try not to fall into the bad side of things?
Well, I think that 14-day period is pretty essential. If you can take care of it relatively, expediently, and then it never even shows up on your ODR, that's the best way to do it. Take care of it before it gets into that 60-day cycle, because that one item is going to follow you for now 60 days, whatever it is, whether it's a chargeback or whatever it is, it's going to be on that, rolling 60 days. So, just address the issues directly when they come to you. Resolve your customer concerns by offering either refunds, replacements, whatever you need to do in order to retain that positive relationship. This is just part of doing business. There are sometimes, things that you have to do, offer a replacement. You can't see it as, oh, this is the value of that item and I can't afford to do that, right? You've got to know that that's part of doing business. Restaurants sometimes have to comp a check. I mean, there are many businesses that always have to do those types of things.
Yeah, happens. Yeah. But yeah, this is great. Did we miss anything, Debbie? Or this is
No, I don't think so,
very
unless you wanted
insightful.
any quick case study or anything like that, or
If you have.
otherwise, I think we pretty much have covered everything.
All right. I just have one question. You mentioned that you do that audit for Amazon sellers to identify their order defect rate, and maybe just proactively let them know about that. Is that a free service that you have, or it's a paid one?
No, it's a $99 account audit that we do, especially if your account is deactivated. What we really need to uncover, especially if you've been in Amazon for a period of time, is that root cause, because the whole plan of action is based upon the root cause. And a lot of times you think it's maybe just the most recent thing that happened, but it's not always the most recent thing that happened. It's just that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. and caused Amazon to take some kind of disciplinary action. So we do some, you know, complimentary account audits, like for advertising and different things like that. But when it comes to a deactivation of some type, we really want to get into your account, dig into all of the communications that you've received, determine that root cause, and then come back to you with an idea of, here's what the root cause is, here's how we can attack it, this is what we shouldn't do. So like I said, our agency really focuses on the account health, and we believe if you have good customer service, good product policies, and a good shipping performance, you are going to soar as an Amazon seller, because those are the 3 core things that we believe can really impact your business. And I honestly sometimes think there's not enough conversation sometimes about how important the account health is. Like I said, I don't even know sometimes how many times sellers get into their Seller Central and look at their ODR.
Yeah. Well,
and they should be paying attention.
It's important, or at least what we've learned in today's lesson, let's say the big lesson I've learned, especially if God forbid something happens like this, or you know, have a friend in this situation, at least we know that SPCTEK can definitely help you with this. So it's important. It's not always about you know, the problems, but I always trust that the persons that can solve the problems are the hardest to find, the right persons for every problem, because if you're having a problem at home, you need to know who to call, just to and God forbid I hope everyone is safe from this point of view, but happens. It's a business. We go through things.
Marcel, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate being on with you, having a little bit of time to talk about account health. If people have questions, they can always go to our website at SPCTEK, and send us a contact us form. We'll have somebody get back to you with answers.
All right, it's spctek.com, right?
Yep.
There we go. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to put it also in the descriptions below. And don't be shy. Reach out to the team, and I'm sure you'll get the best service out there. Debbie, thank you. It's been brilliant, and really appreciate the insights and the feedback. And talk to you soon.
All right. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.
Bye.